And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, or living life, or loving life. Want to remind everybody, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And there's a PayPal link down in the details section for anybody who wants to share some love. And of course, the StreamYard link is down there for anybody that wants to join the panel. And we've got John with us again tonight. How you doing tonight, John?
Oh, I'm doing a lot better now after seeing the video today with the encounter with our friends. I mean, these guys
Yeah,
are running red lights, they're speeding, and they're chasing you with an OMB number.
yeah,
This is
and
wrong.
yeah, and my apologies for not having a better video there, but it was kind of a haste thing. It all happened so quick I wasn't quite prepared for it. I didn't have a phone on me when the incident happened. So then when I got home, I called both the police and the mayor to set up another appointment with the mayor, and I called the police to have them dispatch an officer to talk to me about it. And by the time um, I had called, the people that want to trespass me had already called, and so by the time the officers got here, they had already stopped over there and then came over to me and already had the premise that they were going to trespass me despite anything. So they weren't there to listen to me. They were there to get the information so they could press a trespass charge. Well, and of course, just like always, I told them, I'm not going to give you the legal name. I'm going to give you the given name and the surname. And if you write it down as first and last name, that onus is on you because that's not what I'm giving you. And then he asked for a birth date, and I explicitly explained it. It's not a birth date. The day I was born, I hear, is about August 20th. Now, if I have to look into the records and get the birth date, you will see that it is distinctly different than the born date. And so those are all things that I set out as a premise. And so when I go talk to the mayor, I hope to be able to set up an appointment to have him and the two officers that came on that call come in and speak with me because this is going to stop. I am not going to let them place some kind of unlawful or felonious intent as if though that's what I was doing simply because I crossed a parking lot that I've been crossing for a number of years to and from the store and the bus stop that is right at their corner. Never once have I had an interaction with any of them. None of the staff, students, teachers, nothing until today. And it was simply on the premise of some guy that got out of his car, was walking up to the building, saw me going across the parking lot, so he came and confronted me. Otherwise, I've had no interactions. It was his interaction and his projection of fear and safety concerns for the children because I was crossing the parking lot. Now, what makes them think that they have to be in fear of me for crossing their parking lot? Like I said, never having any interactions with them. What would place that fear in their mind? That's the fear that they're based on, not an intent of mine. I've never once placed any ill intent to those people, merely just crossing the parking lot to shorten the travel. See, this is a rite of passage. And that's what they're forgetting. That parking lot, that's a pavement on top of the land. And get this, the people we're talking about, it's called the Waterloo Christian School. And the very people that pose that they're going to educate those children in Christianity forget the very concept that they are on God's land. That parking lot is on God's land. You don't have the right to trespass me without a known intent, averse to the will of God. This is what people are missing out on, and this is why I say people are slowly becoming Hitler's willing executioners. They're living in a fear state. What do you think, John? What's your view on that?
Well, impersonating a cop, no gun permit, kidnapping, imprisonment, making legal determinations on the road. Those are just
issuing
right?
false securities.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're issuing false securities as the obligated party to the obligee. And remember, folks, the obligee is we, the people, known as the beneficiary, also known in equity. Equity deems the beneficiary to be the true owner. And that's what they operate. Public service is a public trust. If you're not directly involved with the contract as an official under oath with a license to provide the contract terms and agreements and perform those contract terms and agreements so you can be paid for those contract terms and agreements, then we're not part of it. We're supposed to benefit from that. And they are using the interest, the vested interest of the people to invest in those bonds, and therefore they can't exist without us. They can't provide their own bonds.
I was just going to say that your energy, Keith, and your data inputs are giving them a job.
Absolutely. Without it, they don't have anything to keep record of. It's records maintained on individuals, 5 U.S.C. 552A. I've spoken on this much, and it's like we've been going on through the definitions the last few days. We see that individual is also relative to alien, and that alien is a non-resident. So it doesn't matter if you're a resident or a non-resident. The implication is that through naturalization, you have a United States citizenship, which is a nationality, which is a business. How do those conflate? They don't. So yesterday, coincidentally, I spoke on a thing called Carnets. And I came across a video today, coincidentally, and I want to show this video. So we're going to get right into it. This, pay attention, this is a guy in a Lamborghini that is from another country. So we're going to listen to this. And these officers pulled him over. And this is what they got.
I'm Trooper Rummer with this.
I love how he takes the wheel off the car. He's like, dude, I'm not going anywhere.
The reason I'm stopping you is because you don't have any license plates on this car.
I'm from Dubai. It's my license plate right there.
Okay, but you're not in Dubai.
I'm visiting as a tourist.
Visiting as a tourist. Remember we spoke about that Carnets and how it's supposed to be for business or pleasure? That's what the tourism is. It's for pleasure. You're touring. You're not a resident. You're here temporarily on a tour. And whether that be for educational, cultural education, giving or taking, it doesn't matter. That's basically what a tour is. You're going to a foreign place to tour it to find out what it's about. It's a learning experience. Everything has to do with education. I just got off of Jack Talcott's panel because he brought up the thing about education. And if you guys don't understand me, that's the basic premise of everything I'm doing in my research, is that we need to educate ourselves so we can turn around and educate others. We can't pass on a knowing unless we first learn. That means we can't teach and have the knowing to teach until we learn the knowing ourselves. That's why it's important to do the research.
Important. He has an international car and he's visiting as a tourist. Different rules apply.
Your driver's license with you?
Yeah, of course. We ship the cars. We get a permit, and
You don't have a permit.
And this is where the officer.
You don't have a permit. How do you know? You asked him for it. He's getting it, and you're telling him he doesn't have a permit. How do you know? See, this is the problem. They don't know. These cocksuckers don't even know the goddamn law. Excuse my passion.
Officer gets it wrong. Yes, you can import your vehicle from Dubai or Europe.
what you need is a carnet.
What's that?
A carnet. It's a very rare thing. I know you're confused, but we
No,
fly
I'm
them.
not confused.
It's a carnet. It's a very rare thing. I know you're confused. I'm not confused. The fuck you want? You don't even know the local laws, let alone international law. This is the problem. They think their local laws supersede the international law. But just like I told the city council yesterday, that the Congress that makes rules for government at the federal level trickles down. So now I'm going to explain the Constitution of the Universal Postal Union as the identical documentation, which is a contract for those public officials that get elected to office so they can then have a license to acquisition property for those governmental bodies that they work for. It trickles down all the way from the international level. And guess where that comes from? That comes from ecclesiastical law, from which it travels or trickles down to the lowest jurisdiction. The law is uniform throughout all jurisdictions. And if the lowest jurisdiction has a statement that says the law is uniform throughout all jurisdictions, then it must come from the highest source, not somewhere in between. You don't stop somewhere in between and say, this is what applies. You're limiting yourself, and you show yourself to not have a knowing and that you are unlearned of what is true and correct.
So, Keith, do you think the UPU tapped ecclesiastical law in a sense?
Absolutely. It's law of nations, otherwise known as the principles of the laws of nature. The principles of the law of nature. That's why our foundation is on principles. And the letter of the law is not the principles of the law. That is the letter of the law as interpreted by certain people. If you can interpret it and show them where it comes from a greater truth, that's the learning. That's the education. That's what they're missing. That's why I say it's imperative that we learn this, because they're not going to. They're going to learn their statute codes, rules, and policies at the local level and dismiss and say that, well, the federal rules, we don't follow the federal rules. So fuck you don't. Like I said, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution clearly outlines that the Congress, let me read it right. I got my own pocket constitution, guys. Not from Chile, but my own. And this is from American Civil Liberties Union. Now, Article 1, Section 8, and it says right here, right after to provide and maintain a navy, which is the extension of Admiralty Maritime from the high seas inland, it says to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. Now, this is what connects the land, common law of the land, to the Constitution, and says that that is the supreme law of the land. That tells us the Constitution is a contract, period. And it doesn't involve we, the people. It says Congress to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, period. So he is confused.
If you want to drive this car, you have to have a license plate from somewhere in the United States, or
if you want to drive this car, he's not driving. He's traveling along his way in his tour. You have to get these terms down. They are distinctly different. At the local level, it doesn't matter. Again, those are misconstrued through various different publishing companies that interpret the code and then change the wording. Generally, though, the specifics, as in Iowa Code, let's see here, 716.7 as trespass defined, in the very first sentence, it says trespass shall mean one or more of the following acts: entering upon or in property without the express permission of the owner, lessee, or person in lawful possession with the intent to commit a public offense. They have to be able to state your intent. They can't. You cannot write my story. Not going to happen anymore.
or a trip permit.
You do not have to have a license plate from the United States.
We get a EPA exemption.
Pardon me?
EPA. Remember those easements I was telling you about, folks? You better start listening. On the international level, they have an EPA exemption. Why would they have an Environmental Protection Agency exemption for foreigners? Because they're not subject to the commercial code, and they are an internationally protected person under the Environmental Protection Act as an animal, which includes man. You cannot recognize them in a corporate capacity. That's failure to recognize their natural capacity, the law of nations, otherwise known as the principles of the laws of nature.
Wow, is that why
exemption.
birth
The dude just
certificates
got-
are for animals, Keith?
Absolutely. That's for ownership of animals. So that if your animal, say in this trespass case, say your animal wandered onto the neighbor's property and you had to go get him, that is not trespass. Even if it is private property, you have the right of passage to go retain your property and bring it back home. They cannot place an illicit intent on that. But that is so that if there is a problem and somebody doesn't come get that animal, they can track it down by the earmark. It used to be they used to be all earmarked. You would see a cow back in my younger days walking across the road. You'd call the authorities, they'd get that ear tag, and they'd be able. That ear tag was relative to the owner. It was a further documentation aside from the birth certificate for personal identification on the property. On the property. That's why I say I don't have a name or number tattooed on me anywhere. You cannot earmark me. You cannot trespass the man. You can only trespass a person in a corporate capacity for commercial intent. Intended violation of a commercial contract. If you have no contract and you're truly a beneficiary, known as the true owner, who the fuck are they bringing a commercial contract against you? This is where they're wrong.
Got schooled.
Dude, just got schooled. Absolutely. So what do you think about that, John?
About what, Keith?
That the officer getting schooled. A lot of people don't know this information, and the officer doesn't even know it. So the officer just went ahead and wrote his citation and everything, whatever. But I'm sure the outcome has changed his mind, and now he has been learned. He has learned something new. And if he continues to impose those same restrictions upon other people, the same similarly situated, then he's going to end up in more trouble. Pure and simple.
Yeah, but if I don't have an OMB number, Keith, that means it's a false security that he's creating.
Absolutely. That's why I said he's issuing a false security and then placing it in the courts that are going to change the last name to a firm name and issue a security. It's the only way it happens. They have to issue a security. They have to in order to secure their own ass against the surety bond that they have. So they place you as the surety, so it's not on their bond. Actually, it is on their bond, because if they're placing you as surety in that under that municipal capacity, they're placing you as an officer, as an agent, and that you knew the law, and that the only way that you could have violated is because you knew it beforehand, and therefore you had a prior intent. You can't keep placing that presumption on me anymore. No way. Not going to do it. Not going to let it happen. So this is one I wasn't prepared for. I was going to do these short clips like I normally do, but this one came up about 45 minutes, an hour ago, from the civil rights attorney, civil rights lawyer. And I love this guy. And this guy says, bad cop was promoted after this, now charged. Now, I haven't watched this, so we're going to take a look at this and review this on the spot, guys. The link is down there for anybody else that wants to join the panel. Certainly appreciate it. And let's get on with it, John.
Gave this man a brain bleed. Now, the Dickinson, Texas police gave this man a brain bleed. Now, city officials say that they covered it up.
Hey, hold on. Don't go anywhere yet.
What do you mean don't go anywhere yet?
Exactly what the I mean. Don't go anywhere yet.
Hey.
Don't go anywhere yet. What do you mean don't go anywhere? Exactly what the fuck I mean. That is not the way you're gonna fucking speak to me, motherfuckers. Again, excuse my passion, but I am not your motherfucking servant. I am your fucking boss, and you will learn, even if it kills me.
Yesterday, a grand jury indicted Sergeant Michael Kinsley for injuring a 65-year-old man during an arrest 2 years ago.
You gotta wait here.
What for? Tell me.
Till we finish our investigation. Hey, have a seat on the curb.
See, they won't tell this guy what they're investigating. They won't tell him what charges they're investigating. This is going to stop. You're going to learn the law and know what you're investigating first and let us know. That's your duty.
I'm going to look for my stuff, young man.
All right, turn around.
Come on, now, wait a minute.
Hey, relax.
What are you doing?
Hey, you're going to have a seat. Sit down.
I'll try to have a seat if you let go of me. You don't own me.
How am I here?
See, and that's exactly what they think. They think they own you. Listen, I am not an owner of anybody. I own me. I am my owner. And you have zero authority over me as a man. Now, if I want to placate that commercial system and get an ID, then I will, if the venue is open to me. But as far as I know, like I told the officers here today, when he asked for the social security number, I told him, I can't give that out. I already posted my statement of separation, letting the government know I cannot and will not give out that number anymore. You ain't going to get it. And you can't force me to give it to you. Not going to happen.
17 hours after a police officer slammed him to the ground, Michael Scurlock staggered out of his Dickinson City jail cell, pleading for help. Video captured from the jail in February of 2022 showed Scurlock could hardly walk.
Come on. You got a car, don't you?
A car for what?
To get me home.
No, I don't have a car to get you home in. Come on.
When a judge read Scurlock his rights in the jail hallway, the 65-year-old man appeared confused, disoriented.
Mr. Scurlock, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to a lawyer. You have the right to have a lawyer present at any interview at the place you're going. You have the right to terminate any interview at any time. You don't have.
See, they're supposed to read you that stuff before they arrest you. See, folks, they're in the intake. They're supposed to do that out on the call when they put you in them cuffs. They're a little out of procedure here, right?
Yeah. Intake. That sounds like exhaust.
Exactly. It's an intake. And it's an intake and not a grant. See, they're just taking. That's why they call it intake. Intaking. They are taking things. Listen to the language.
Any statement you make can will be used against you. You're charged with public intoxication. I'm going to set a bond of $581.
Public intoxication. What is public intoxication? Public means contract. I don't care what venue it's in. If it's placating public, that goes to the Constitution. Period.
Can you make bonds, sir?
Ask me that question. Can you make bond? Can you make bond? That's a commercial instrument, so we go to the UCC and those terms there. The maker of an instrument. They're asking him to make a bond so they can take it too.
Take that as a no.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What do we do?
Oh.
He's got some laceration on his head.
Okay, payment plan or
Yeah, payment plan.
Okay.
Oh.
Moments later, he slipped to the floor, clinging to a bench for support.
Man, I ain't got no way out of here.
No, you're getting out.
You getting out? Stand right here for me.
Oh, God.
Sign right here. Sign right here. This reminds me of Mom being in the hospital and under medication or something like that, or in a very stressful situation, and they want you to sign documents. This guy isn't of sound mind at this time, according to them, according to the public intoxication, and so they shouldn't be asking anybody to sign anything. That is one of those data elements that we need to pay attention to. If he was in compos mentis, then how could he sign as if though he was competent to sign to begin with?
Give me your name on it the best you can.
Man, I can't see.
Huh?
I can't see. How do I say?
They just need the wet ink, though, Keith. You can just put a Mickey Mouse there. They don't fucking care.
Yeah. And Imperium Privatus says, did the officers notice you first or just trespass you? Failure of due process, failure of law. Exactly. There is no process here, and that's what I told them. They told me not to go across that parking lot again. I said, fuck you. I'll go across it any goddamn fucking time I want to. You people are not the law. You make this trespass as if though it's valid. I guarantee you it's not. I'll be glad to see you in court. These people are ignorant.
Here, right here. Sign your name the best you can.
Okay.
Right here. Sign your name best you can. Sign here. Sign your name best you can. No, it's not sign your name best you can because he's in compos mentis. And you can see that. And yet you're standing there convincing he needs to sign his name the best you can.
Okay.
See, that's one of the problems they have with me, being through a competency test 3 times now, and all 3 times, the first time they said I had an IQ of 144. The next time I went back, they said it was 148. The next time I went back, it was 152. That tells me my supposedly, according to their standards, my IQ is growing. Don't test me.
Just sit right there on the bench for me.
I think this one got, I think this is.
God, man.
Back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Okay, hey, you're gonna have to be quiet. You have to be quiet right at court.
Rather than getting him medical assistance, however, Dickinson authorities released him and drove him home. Within 24 hours, Scurlock was admitted to intensive care with a brain bleed. He spent the next 2 weeks there and the final 9 months of his life in hospitals and nursing homes before dying in December of 2022. Now, nearly 2 years after the original arrest on a questionable public intoxication charge, allegations of excessive force used against Scurlock, neglect by police officers, and a cover-up by law enforcement have stirred outrage in Dickinson, Texas. City officials in Galveston County are now demanding accountability and changes.
And now I'd like to see more of this officer video, because as far as I saw so far, I'm hoping they'll show more of it here in this video. But as far as I saw so far, the initial stop, it didn't look like he was so damn drunk. So maybe something happened on the stop where he was injured, and that's why he's acting in compos mentis in the station. Again, without due process.
This to police operations, though it's unclear to what extent that city's police department even cares. The body cam videos leave little doubt that Scurlock sustained a serious injury in his encounter with Officer Michael Kinsley, who was later called to the scene after a pickup truck had collided with Scurlock while he was riding his bike. Now, Scurlock, who begins the exchange alert and coherent, spends nearly 3 minutes limp and unresponsive after Officer Kinsley throws him to the ground.
Okay, so we're going to see it.
63, show me out on that auto pit.
See, this is what I thought.
I said I was.
You all right?
Yeah, a little get together. He's being stubborn about getting checked out, but he said he's all right. I'm all right. So we're just.
You all right?
I told him I won't take.
No, I ain't all right. I need about $1 million, and then I'll be all right.
Well, you ain't getting that, so.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
Well, no
see, he sounds pretty good there. It doesn't sound like he's drunk or nothing.
shit.
You try to get him. He's always.
You go ahead and get that.
I want to get you down.
I got that, and I can put that motherfucker on.
Okay.
Even though it's a complicated son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well, so what do you want to do?
I'm gonna put this in
63, he's not injured. No ambulance needed. Can you run Michael Skurlock?
He's not injured. No ambulance needed. That was before they threw him to the ground.
Did you hear that? The officer asked dispatch to run Mr. Skurlock to see if there were any warrants outstanding for him. It's based on that he tells subsequently here in a second, Mr. Skurlock, that he cannot leave the scene because there's a pending investigation. But there is no pending investigation. There's no valid, reasonable suspicion to detain Mr. Skurlock any further. The officer just has a hunch and wants to make sure he doesn't have any warrants before he leaves. That is not valid, reasonable suspicion. So the initial detainment that you'll see happen here in a second that precedes the use of force is illegal.
No, I think I'm on the send that bugger over. I don't think you're going at it right. There you go.
Yeah, I got the tools at the house. You know where I live.
You didn't do it on purpose.
No, sir.
63, did you get my last transmission?
Somebody.
Stop by the house. You know where I be.
I'm glad that you are somebody I know.
Hey, hold on. Don't go anywhere yet.
What do you mean don't go anywhere yet?
Exactly what the I mean. Don't go anywhere yet.
Hey, what the is it about?
Exactly. See, the guy didn't get stopped for any violations. What they did was they stopped to see what was going on because they had a community concern that he might cause an issue with his bike upside down in the middle of at the edge of the driveway there. So they were stopping for a community concern, and they saw a good predator or a good prey. They found someone they could prey on. Because this man isn't a criminal, you can tell that. 65 fucking years old on a bike and a basket on the front so he can get to and from. He obviously doesn't have a fucking car. Okay? So what they're going to do is turn around and try to get more out of him. The only way they can get more out of him is by writing a citation. Whether he pays it or not, that's a citation that's going to look good on their books for the quota that they got to reach so they can get a pay raise. This is sick.
And how come they don't pull them over for speeding at the Tour de France? Those bikes go faster than any car in the world.
Speaking of that, when I was younger, I had a bike that I used to ride all over the place. And there's a hill here in town that I lived at the bottom of. And I would hit the top of that hill and I'd start cruising down it, and I'd be getting 35, 40 mile an hour, and the speed limit's 25. I had an officer pull me over for speeding on a bike.
What?
Oh, yeah. Speeding on a bike. Just like the last time I was confronted out in public by multiple officers, 8 of them, 2 FBIs, 2 special detectives, 2 CPS workers, and 2 local authorities, 2 local police officers, all standing there armed to the hilt. And I was on a bike. And the 2 officers that pulled me over said I was driving down the middle of the street. Really, I was driving. You got proof that I've got a license to do so, and that I was performing commerce. I mean, I don't have any books on me. I don't have a register on me. I don't have any business records at home. I don't have any manifests. I don't have any delivery forms. I don't have none of that. How are you going to prove that? This is the ignorance that they have. They don't know the words that they're using. So they just apply them across the board to everybody because that's the way they've been trained. And this is a false training. Again, unlearn what you've learned. Get back to concise English. learn that language and understand that that's what they're using against you. They're splitting languages up and they're using multiple languages all across the jurisdictions. And that is not how the law works. The law is logic, not chaos and disorder.
I was.
What?
What happened?
He hit me accidentally.
Right EMS is not needed.
Looking that way to go, and I was starting to ease out. And the next time I see a flash in front of me, he goes,
I was worried about fucking flat. Now, I ain't worried about flat. Look at that.
Okay, so this guy on the bike evidently ran into this guy, but again, that's the way he purported it. But this guy's onus of responsibility is to the pedestrians. So it was this guy that didn't see this guy, and he ran into him because of that. See, this is the guy with the license. He's the one that's supposed to follow them codes. The pedestrian with no license is the beneficiary. That's why you're supposed to watch out for the pedestrians. As a pedestrian, you can clearly tell that they are not required to have a license in their manual form. They're not in person. So this guy may have called him to report an accident, but it would be on him, not the guy on the bike. So that's what they're investigating, and they're investigating this guy instead of the guy with the license that the law applies to. See, they ran a check on this guy, but they're not running a check on this guy. They're just taking his information so they can write down the insurance claim.
I got to fix a flat in that son of a bitch. And it ain't supposed to fix. It's supposed to fix a bicycle tire. It here's the tube to the tire.
I don't know what happened there, but we lost John and I lost my video. I'm gonna refresh real quick, guys. I'm gonna drop the link down there for everybody, and if anybody wants to come up, we'll join you again here in a minute. Give me a chance to refresh, and I'll be right back, guys. Okay, we are back. StreamYard link is down there. Let me pull up video. And there we go.
That son of a bitch is leaking down. Boom, bang. All right, am I through?
No.
What have I got to do?
You got to wait here.
What for? Tell me.
Till we finish our investigation.
Investigation? There ain't.
Matter of fact, have a seat. Have a seat on the curb.
Matter of fact, I was out there laying.
Have a seat on the curb.
You're not listening to me.
Have a seat
That's
on the
what
curb.
you're supposed to do.
Have a seat on the curb.
She hit me. I mean, he hit me, and I wasn't. I thought he saw me.
And see, they're playing this fucking officer safety routine right now against a 65-year-old man that evidently is in bad health and has to pedal his ass all around town, and they're going to play like they're afraid of him. You fucking cowards.
Hey, have a seat on the curb.
I'm going to look for my stuff, young man.
All right, turn around.
Come on, now, wait a minute.
Hey, relax.
What are you doing? Hey,
you're going to have a seat. Sit down.
I'll try to have a seat if you'll let go of me. You don't own me.
See, that's their tactic. Go straight on hand. Go straight on hand with me. Go straight on hand with me.
Put your hands behind your back.
And now we have a violent use of force by this police officer against Mr. Scurlock. If there was no reasonable suspicion to detain him, then it would also be illegal to use any force, because the use of force by a police officer is technically, under the Constitution, a seizure under the Fourth Amendment.
And that's one of the things I looked up in this Waterloo police policy here today. And that's exactly what we're talking about. They don't have any authority unless there's an actual crime. The guy committed no crime. None whatsoever. An accident is not a criminal act. And yet they decided to investigate him. And under that investigation, they thought they could go hands-on. No, that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment in every case.
And a seizure can be reasonable or a seizure can be unreasonable, which is what's prohibited by the Fourth Amendment. Well, let's assume that there was valid reasonable suspicion, and you could argue that in the alternative, Your Honor, even if this was a valid detention, it was unreasonable to seize Mr. Scurlock with this sort of violence that Officer Kinsley used here. And to prove that, or to establish that, you would go through the gram factors. The severity of the crime at issue, very, very low. I don't think one even was alleged to have occurred. Secondly, whether or not the individual posed an immediate safety threat to anyone. I don't see
Exactly. No crime occurred. Nobody posed a threat to any safety. Period. Then you have nothing.
any evidence of that. And third, whether or not the individual was attempting to evade or resist arrest. He wasn't under arrest. He wasn't. He was possibly, if we're using that theory, evading the detention. So not much to go on.
Possibly evading, but I don't think it was evading or avoiding. Like he said, his intent was to look for his belongings. He has a right to gather up his belongings.
To justify a violent use of force, especially one violent enough to cause a brain bleed.
We need him now. 63, go ahead, roll an ambulance.
And it doesn't look like we're going to get to see the full throwdown, but evidently the guy's laying there looking at him. He's looking down at him, and the guy said he didn't move for like 3 minutes, and now they're going to call an ambulance. Well, what happened with the ambulance? How come they didn't take him to the hospital? How come he ended up in intake instead of the hospital?
Is he out?
Huh?
Is he out?
The footage also shows multiple police officers encountering Scurlock in distress after the officer's takedown.
Is he drunk?
Huh?
Is he drunk?
I don't know. I tried to get him to sit down because it looked like he was going to walk away. He wouldn't do it, so now I told him, put your hands behind the back and start persisting.
No, you didn't tell him to put his hands behind his back. You grabbed him and told him to put his hands behind the back. See if we can go back and watch that.
All right, turn around.
Come on, now wait a minute.
Hey, relax.
What are you doing? Hey.
He started walking out towards the street, told him he was looking for his belongings, turned around and started walking back towards the bike. So he's going back towards the officer. Notice the officer is on this side and he's on this side. He had already gone towards the street and then he turned around and came back. As he turned around and walked past the officer, that's when he told him to put his hands behind his back and grabbed him.
Hey, have a seat on the curb.
I'm going to look for my stuff, young man.
All right, turn around.
Come on, now wait a minute.
Hey, relax.
What are you doing?
Hey,
See how quick that happened?
sit down.
I'll try to have a seat if you let go of me. You don't own me.
Put your hands behind your back.
And now we have a violent use of force by this police. See any evidence of that. And third, the detention. So not much to go on to justify a violent use of force, especially one violent enough to cause a brain bleed.
We need him now. 63, go ahead, roll an ambulance.
Let me get his information so I can get him out of here. You good holding him? You want some gloves or something?
I already touched him. I got some gloves.
Yep, nothing but a number, a quota.
Though Scurlock initially declined medical help after he came to, he's seen on video with multiple symptoms of serious head trauma over the following 17 hours, including vomiting, dizziness, and an inability to walk. And believe it or not, which perhaps you will if you watch my channel, Dickinson police officers received virtually no punishment in connection with this case. But wait, there's more. The Dickinson police sergeant accused of inflicting this brain bleed on Mr. Scurlock has faced multiple allegations of misconduct over his 6-year career there, one of which preceded his resignation from another department. There's a great article from.
So here we have another situation of an officer that killed a man, and only because he was already with another department and relieved of duties because of his violations, and he just went to another department, committed several other violations, and now we've got this. It's got to stop a lot sooner than that, folks.
The Houston Landing, I'll link it in the description below. They reviewed Michael Kinsley's employment records and found repeated allegations of excessive force and reckless behavior, resulting in at least 5 internal affairs investigations by the Dickinson and Houston police departments.
5 violations in 6 years that he worked for the department, plus however other many others that he committed in the previous department.
And then they sweep it under the rug.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these people have a duty to do a background check on these officers. And when they do their background checks and the previous department says left in good standing without putting them reports forward, that's concealment. That is concealment. That's a violation of the most egregious form. Like I said, when you start placating that the people of the community are the prey, you're tearing down it's the most egregious act against humanity for your corporate existence. Denial of life.
One investigation documented Kinsley breaking numerous Dickinson police policies during a dangerous patrol car chase in another jurisdiction, prompting a complaint from a neighboring police chief. That's unusual. Another showed that he slammed his body onto a suspect already restrained on the ground by another officer. The records also indicate that Dickinson police hired Kinsley even though he had resigned from his previous law enforcement job with the Houston Police Department amid an ongoing internal affairs investigation into, of course, unspecified allegations of misconduct.
So they hired him because he resigned, even though he was in the middle of an ongoing investigation, and felt it kosher to go ahead and just sign him up, and then turn around and let him violate the code several times in various different ways throughout that 6-year tenure, and say, oh well. See, it's all for the buck, people. It's going to stop.
Kinsley had been relieved of duty pending the results of that probe. But surprise, surprise, Dickinson Police Chief Michael Berezin, who joined the department in early 2023, has lauded Kinsley's job performance as spectacular during his tenure. Kinsley was only an officer at the time of the Scurlock incident. He was since promoted to sergeant this past August. But the police...
Since promoted. See, it's the ones that get the quota. They don't care what the record looks like as far as violations. As long as they get the quota and get that money generated, that's what they're after. They don't give a fuck about you people.
Chief said he didn't even know whether, since he had only been there since 2023, whether his predecessors were even aware that Officer Kinsley had resigned from the Houston Police Department when they hired him. So just another example of law enforcement only being held accountable when there's video footage that not only exists, but is shown to people. Without it being shown to people, the government by itself doesn't care, isn't going to do anything about it. It's only once the people become upset about it, then all of a sudden the politicians become upset. And that's what's happened here. So if you want to help, spread this footage, share this video. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. If you think that Mr. Scurlock deserved what he received, there's always somebody who has that opinion. Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe, both here and...
And so there you go. Another fine example, a very fine example of the honorable men in uniform at the local level wearing a badge thinking they own you. When are you going to stop it? It's sickening. What do you think, John?
Well, that they're pitting one American against another, that's, to me, unhuman. But in particular, Keith, I'd like to see municipal code incorporate some standard procedures like identify the parties, identify their obligations. They're never doing that. It's a false intake system.
Exactly, and that's what.
Millions of Muslims around the world.
Oops. And that's why I addressed the city council and the mayor, because that's the problem. And we're going to correct that the best I can, or do the best I can to help correct that. And like I said, my life is on the line. I'm not going to waver. He is my protector. He is the one that guides me, and I will not waver. I don't care what your code says. In fact, I care so little that I'm going to destroy it right in front of you. Again, you have to place that trespass by intent. I didn't have any intent. If I'd have had that intent, you'd think that living here for a number of years and going across that parking lot hundreds of times, that you would have known that intent a long time ago, and not just placate by some idiot's fear mongering that now you have a reason to trespass anybody. His fear mongering is not my intent. Period. So let's take a look at the next one. We're going to get back into the shorts here, John. We always like these. This one here, this is Berkeley, California. This is at a private residence where somehow these people were invited to these people's property for some kind of a party. And this student activist decided she had the right of freedom of speech in his privacy. No, you don't. No, you don't. Let's listen to this.
Where millions of Muslims around the world fast, not only from the
Now that's wrong. I'll admit. You have to give notice first, like we spoke on the trespass. You have to give them notice first. Hey, listen, we don't want you speaking about that here. This is a private gathering for our intents, not your intent. By you coming up here and speaking like that, you show your intent as a controversy to the very purpose of why we're putting this event on. Okay, so I don't agree with this, but at the same time, this woman with the microphone placating that she has a freedom of speech here, this is one venue you do not. You do not have the freedom of speech in my house to use your language. In my house, it's a temple of my God. And if you don't recognize my God, then you don't have the freedom of speech in my presence. You will leave. I'm not going to listen to it. I will listen to it as long as I have to get you out the door. And if that means I give you notice and you keep running your mouth, it's going to be just like the insurance salesman that was here last week. I told him once, it's time to leave. He looked at my wife as if though he expected her to give him consent to leave. I had to look at him again and tell him, hey, you evidently didn't hear me. I'm going to make it very clear. Get the fuck out now. We're full-grown adults. It's simple language. It's easy to comprehend. And when somebody tells you to get out of their house, they mean it. Don't make them say it again. Don't make them get up and get physical about it. That's me.
This is not your fast, not only from my house. We have attorneys. We have attorneys.
Okay, you don't have to get aggressive.
Please leave our house. You are guests at our house.
This is our First Amendment right.
No.
No, it's not. You have a First Amendment right. But when that right starts causing controversy and interfering with the rights of others, now you have violated that very First Amendment in trying to impose that First Amendment. This is like those protesters that want to go out there in the streets, sit in the street and block traffic. No, Just to enforce your right, you do not have the right to violate somebody else's rights. You better wisen up.
Oh,
This is our First
this is
Amendment.
my house.
It is.
The First
The
Amendment
National
doesn't
Lawyers
apply.
Guild has informed this is our First Amendment
This is
right,
my
and they
house.
are where millions of Muslims are.
Our attorneys have advised us this is our First Amendment right. You see how stupid the attorneys are? The attorneys will get you in trouble so they can manage a case for you and rob your estate. They will tell you you're allowed to do this, and then when they go to court, even if you win, the attorney's the one that's really winning. You're giving him a job, and he's the one taking away the key of knowledge.
Yep.
The next one.
They get stomped out yet. It's the matter of
Still
time.
waiting.
People like you, they get stomped out yet. It's the matter
Still
of time.
waiting for that day. Still.
See, this is Long Island audit, and he's standing there with the camera in public, and this guy is butthurt and saying the camera guy is the problem. No, the camera guy is the guy trying to save this guy's ass when he gets stupid with the police. It's the cameraman that will stand up for the idiots like this, because we have to forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Still waiting. Didn't happen yet.
Wait till you walk back to your car. Good luck making it home tonight.
Wait till you walk back to your car. Good luck making it home tonight. That sounds like a threat.
I'm not filming here, sir.
Excuse me?
Can you explain why you're doing that?
Sure, yeah. I'm an independent journalist. My name is
He's
Sean.
just doing it to get you likes on YouTube.
I'm doing it to get
I'm doing it to get likes on YouTube. See, this is a slave. This is Plato's cave. They refuse to come out of the cave, yet they live among us. It's time to start recognizing these people for what they really are. This is a fucking heathen.
likes on YouTube. So everybody watching this video should hit the like button. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, we don't want
You're an asshole.
No, you're an asshole. Now listen to this gal. And then listen to what this officer says. The officer's not going to give information that's knowledgeable. He's not going to let this woman know that you have a right to film in public. So listen to what he says instead.
To be filmed. The showman's filming me, making me very uncomfortable.
I'm here. You're safe with me. You're okay.
Camera.
I'm here. You're safe with me. You're okay. He's not going to tell him that this man has a right to record so that they can get over it. He's going to tell him, you're okay. I'm here. So the next time that happens, and it will happen again, she's going to be in fear again. She's going to call the police again. This is not an education. This is reinforcing his job so that she can call him again.
Can't hurt anyone. We can go up together.
How's it going? You enjoying your day?
Today, yeah.
All right, good.
The day that you put me in a cell wasn't too enjoyable for me.
People like you, they get
The day you put me in a cell wasn't too enjoyable for me. See, this is an officer he's been up against before. A lot of these officers that they have down here now, I guess I really don't know too many of them anymore. Seems like they've changed ranks. They've gone through a few. Because the two I met today, I've never heard of before. That cocksucker got right in my face. He's damn lucky I took it outside. If he was in my temple, it may have very well have been a deadly situation. Likely for me, I'm the one that's unarmed. But like I said, I'm not going to stop.
Pull you over, right? Okay. Just because you. Whoa. So you said for your safety?
Yeah, for my safety.
Yeah, for my safety. For my safety. How did the officer's safety go above eminent domain and the community care for the people in the community? And how is it these people don't understand that the people in the community are the beneficiaries and therefore the true owners? This is narcissism and Dunning-Kruger effect. These people think that they know a policy and all of a sudden they know the law, and they will continuously profess that they don't know the law, that they're just following policy. Fucking insane.
We were hailed by a citizen regarding your car. Why would a citizen have hailed us?
For my car.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever y'all got going on, you feel me? I don't know nothing about that.
Okay, perfect.
All right, sir.
Yeah.
Just because you got a firearm in the car, okay, we're just going to do this the safe way, okay? Can you undo your seatbelt for me?
Can I call the supervisor, please? I would like your
Well, no,
supervisor.
you can talk to him afterwards.
Sir, I would like your supervisor.
Okay, we're going to talk to him after.
Can you call him on your radio? He's not trying to call his supervisor.
See, that's procedure. If you request a supervisor, they're supposed to get a supervisor immediately. They're supposed to stop their interrogation and get a supervisor. This is the same thing if you want an attorney. Okay? Now watch what happens. This is where the gal comes up because he's telling them he wants a supervisor and they're not going to follow the law. Now she comes up and points the gun at him.
On the radio. Okay, I'm a citizen too, bro. And you work for public and safety. You're doing your job. What's your cause of stopping me? Is what I want to know. You didn't even give me a cause. You said for your 10. I told you I got
That's probable cause to pull you over, right?
Okay.
Just because you.
Whoa. Are you serious?
Your fingers on the back of your head.
We've got Coach Recover coming.
Whoa.
Okay. Undo your seatbelt with your right.
See, that's undue force. That's escalation. And that's because they're fucking feelers. These people are nothing but fucking insane children. Get rid of them.
Hang on.
Oh,
We're not
wow.
gonna play this game, sir.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Pull you over, right?
Okay.
Just because you.
Whoa. So you said for your safety?
For your safety. No, you took the job for a reason. You should know it's a dangerous job. And you should protect yourself. But in your protecting yourself, you don't push your own safety measures above and beyond that of the very people you fucking serve.
This cop approached some guys holding a sign on a public sidewalk. Then she illegally asked them to stop. But when they rightfully refused, the triggered cop went ballistic.
What's going on? Hey, you're disturbing some people, okay? I'm gonna need you to...
Hey, you're disturbing some people, okay? I'm going to need you to do this. I don't give a fuck who I disturb. As long as I'm not violating a law, you can take your codes, rules, policies, ordinances, and shove them up your ass.
Get off that and, tone it down a bit.
Ma'am, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, well, if you're not gonna do that, then I'm gonna have to take you to jail, okay?
Do what you need to do.
You are being recorded for what reason? What's the reason?
Is this not a public
Disorderly
sidewalk?
conduct.
Is this
Disorderly conduct for holding a sign on public property, and because somebody got butthurt and got in their feelers, decided to call the police and say, hey, he disturbed me as they were driving by. Do you understand the insanity here? This is the same thing with me going through this parking lot. I don't care if me going through the parking lot disturbs you. I never committed any crimes. I never committed any violations of the public ordinance or anything. I'm not subject to them because I'm in my manual, natural capacity as a sojourner with God across all his lands, which shall not be sold forever. And that fucking pavement that you call a parking lot is on top of his land. Why, you profess to be a Waterloo Christian school. You fucking heathens.
This a public sidewalk?
It is a public sidewalk.
This is a public sidewalk, and he's speaking freely.
We can get him for legal injury.
Say what?
Which is illegal injury, like damage that results from a violation of a legal right. So if we're natural humans, there's a lot of damage to us.
Absolutely. And like you said, he's on a public sidewalk holding a sign. And just because somebody else got disturbed in their feelers, he committed no crime. He caused no harm, loss, damage, or injury. None. And when these officers placate that somebody's feelers are more important than yours, and therefore you violated them, that ain't gonna fly no more, folks. We're done.
That's not against the law. Freedom of speech. What's your name? Officer Hurt. Who is your commanding officer? What is his name?
Chief McMurray.
Chief McMurray. Okay. And what city are you with?
I'm with Huntsville.
Huntsville Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. I got that recorded on camera.
Can you get your superior officer, man, before you take him to jail?
Yeah, where's your superior officer?
This cop approached.
Yeah, where's your superior officer again? See, that's the paramount thing there. You're supposed to go to the head of agency. This is why I went to the mayor. The mayor is the executive. These people work under him. Period. That's the contract they have. And if I have to go against that contract bond for these officers, like I said, I've already started a good rapport with the mayor, and he seemed very intrigued with what I had to bring and very peaceful about it and wanted to help me. That's what it seemed like, and I hope that continues because he does seem like a very good-hearted man. Otherwise, the people of the community wouldn't have recommended him for mayor. I honestly believe that. However, that doesn't mean I voted for him, and it doesn't mean he's my boss. Period.
This has to be one of the best videos I've seen this entire week. And before we go into it, just remember, if you're ever in an argument, all you have to do is revert back to simplicity.
Michael, do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Mothers?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
It's interesting because you come into this conversation, trying to hold this moral superiority. But when
you come into this conversation trying to hold this moral superiority. No, it's the moral that, or it's not even moral. It's the distinct, objectively known fact that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. Period.
I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To use inclusive language to what? Include your insanity in my life? I don't fucking think so.
And it seems to include people who don't identify as women but can become pregnant.
Who don't identify as women but can become pregnant. No, you can't become pregnant, men. How fucking insane and stupid are you? These are the kind of people we have to deal with. This is a full-grown woman that honestly believes that a man can get pregnant. That is insanity. That is abandonments.
Telling me that in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
I mean, yes.
I would like to identify, and I do identify actually, as the correct person on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept my identity.
That's not your identity.
That is my identity. I promise you that.
This has to be one of the...
Yeah, that is my identity. I identify as the person bringing forth the real truth here to rebut your insanity. And I want you to recognize me as that. See, that's what they try to play. See, now in order for them to recognize me as the one that's bringing the true facts, they also have to recognize themselves as the one being insane. That's what they don't want to do. They just don't want to admit the truth. And they will lie and lie and lie and profess that it is true. That is insanity. That is non-compos mentis.
She wasn't playing.
Good afternoon, Julia. You know my pronouns are they, them. How are you doing?
Thank you for telling me your pronouns. I use correct grammar. So the only thing I would need to refer you to is to your face would be you, but you don't get to require me to use incorrect grammar and factually incorrect things. You're not a plural. You're a one person.
I'm not a single woman, though. I'm a very special non-binary trans person, as you just pointed out. I
didn't
really
just point that out.
in the crowd.
Okay, I'm not special. I'm just a boring old heterosexual married woman. But sorry about that. We're not allowed to do that anymore.
If you're a singular person, you have to use singular personal pronouns. It's no way to be a plural person. You can only be a singular person or a plurality of people. You cannot be a plural person. If you were in English class, you would probably get kicked out of the classroom. You would probably fail on your grades because you would be improperly using pronouns. You don't need to tell me what your pronouns are. Are you biological or are you not? Let's act in reality. She wasn't playing.
Absolutely. I think that is the best explanation I've heard in a long time, and this woman is spot on. That's why I urge you to unlearn the things they've taught you. Get back to a concise English handbook and learn how to speak properly.
Vintage Trump walking out on CNN because he doesn't like their questions, calling it fake news in 1990 is a vibe.
What was inaccurate so far?
I thought your demeanor was inaccurate. I thought that questions that you were posing to people in my organization were inaccurate and false and unfair.
Well, question.
Now watch what this guy says. He says questions are questions. Whereas Trump was posing that and they were making statements. This is what I'm talking about. When people ask accusatory questions, they are formed in a way that they make an accusation so that no matter how you answer it, you've been accused.
Questions by definition can't be inaccurate. The question.
Well, I think the questions themselves were put in such a way that made them statements, and they became statements as opposed to questions. And I think that's not good reporting.
Such as?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think your viewers would be very interested in it. You know what? Do this interview with somebody else.
Well, we talked about this yesterday on the phone. This is exactly what we talked.
Do the interview with somebody else.
You don't need this. Do it with somebody else. Have a good time. Because frankly, you're a very negative guy, and I think it's a very unfair report. Good luck.
I disagree with you. Sorry to feel that way.
I don't disagree with him at all. I don't disagree with him at all. This is like asking a Muslim, does your religion allow you to abuse women? Say that you can abuse women. See, that's putting the presumption there that they abuse women first. Remember our logic? It's the predicate and predecessor. And they're forming those questions in a way so that when you answer it, it would seem logical then that, oh yeah, he's an abuser, and this is his excuse. Naughty, naughty.
What's going on? I pulled you over. I ran your plate. It's not coming back to me.
That's not right.
Do you have your driver's license?
Sir, that's not true.
Okay. Do you have your driver's license? Okay.
Sir, you just opening my door?
Yeah. Go ahead and step out.
Sir, can you call your supervisor?
Yeah. Go ahead and step out though.
Like what I got?
Yeah, see, they're not supposed to open your door. That's your property. When they start taking control of your property for an investigation, no, that wasn't in a warrant for a place to search and seize any person or property. See, there's a process due. And just because you're an officer with a badge doesn't mean you are the ultimate authority and that you get to be judge, jury, and executioner on the spot and just take somebody's property or use somebody's property or enter somebody's property to get them out simply because you want to investigate. You better have reasonable, articulable suspicion and probable cause.
What's my car for?
I'm asking you to.
That's not how traffic stop works, man. Do you know a Terry versus Ohio?
You're not going to jail.
So you make me get out under threat of arrest?
Yep. Step out of the car. The reason I stopped you is when you run the plate, it doesn't come back to anything.
Sir, my plate is totally legit.
Is there a reason for the temp plate?
I don't have to answer any questions pulled by police.
Is there a reason for the temp plate? So he knows it's a temp plate. He knows it's not going to show up in the system as a license plate, and yet he wants to pull him over. He knows it's a temp plate by the very definition, and he said he knows it's a temp plate. So how is it he knows the law?
Do you have your ID?
It might be the tank.
So if you don't identify yourself, yes.
Okay, let you check it out.
Thank you. My partner's going to run your name.
Oh, need to.
If you don't identify, yes. And like I told the officers today, when they didn't give me their bond number, I let them know that very plainly an individual's name and number identify the record. You're not giving me access to the record so I can make a claim on it. So I'll just go to the surety bond company after I speak to the mayor. I'm not playing games with these people.
To Google it first.
Google it?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're definitely going to hear me. I done filed 7 federal cases. I won all 7 of them. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
You have the certificate of registration?
I have everything.
Are you willing to grab that?
I got to do it under threat of arrest?
If you don't do that, you're going to get tickets.
I'm going to get tickets for what?
You might have insurance on the vehicle, but I need to see proof. Does that make sense?
Sir, this says Secretary of State on it.
Secretary of State, right there.
See, the Secretary of State is a little bit above the Department of Transportation and Department of Motor Vehicles. See, they get their very delegated powers from the Secretary of State, which is part of the Bureau of Consular Affairs at the state level. Has to do with embassies.
It's Thursday.
All right, so you
This is pretty much like a temporary carnet, as we spoke of earlier.
can have a good night, okay? I'm not gonna cut you any ticket.
Well, you know you're still going to court, right? What's going on?
Yeah, it's still, you know, you're still going to court, right? That's fine. Not going to issue you any tickets, but he made an unlawful stop. That's going to stop. So even if they make an unlawful stop and they don't give you tickets, this guy is right. We need to help them understand that I don't care if you're not going to give me a ticket. What you did was you violated the law, and we're not going to let you get away with it, even in the smallest instance, anymore.
You have to listen. Do you think you can improve?
It's when we allow the little lies to ride that they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Got to stop at the beginning.
America by determinedly and avowedly condemning Fox News without acknowledging that you're participating in the same game. Did you not just listen to someone who plainly, legitimately believes in this country and believes it's possible to change, but is bound by corruption, is bound by the lobbying system? Surely it's clear to you, Bill, as one of the great pundits and experts and comic voices, that systemic change is required. Money has to be taken out of politics. We need new political systems that genuinely represent ordinary Americans so that we can overcome cultural differences. And bickering about which propagandist network is the worst is not going to save a single American life, not improve the life of a single American child, not going to improve America's standing in the world, and the world needs a strong America. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that.
Needs a strong America. Every nation needs to be strong, and like I've said, this cannot possibly be a strong nation with an average reading comprehension of 7th or 8th grade. This is a nation full of fucking idiots. And those are the people we're employing to look after everybody else. Pathetic.
You have an obligation, a duty. You have to listen.
And then how easily we're induced, Keith. That's the
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's because, again, the language that we're taught isn't a correct language. It's a Babylonian language that we evidently don't understand, but we think we do. I lived like that for almost 50 years of my life. The next one is our last one, and this is another auditor. And this is how simple things like this of expressing yourself is so corrosive to society, because society itself wants to corrode themselves. The people in society are not following truth. They're not following what is righteous and true. They're following some written code that they believe is to their benefit, and they live under that like my mom and dad did all of their life. And then when you look at them at 50 years of age, they sit there and say, Keith, the police are your authority. Who the fuck are you people?
So you vet?
You're Officer Fernandez?
Yes.
That's spelled F-E-R-N-A-N-D-E-Z.
N-A-N-D-E-Z.
Okay, thank you. W.M. Fernandez. Okay. Yeah, my name is Jeff.
Are you a veteran?
I am, yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I come from a family of vets. So he's clearly not homeless, but he is he's out voicing his First Amendment right, and he is on a public sidewalk.
Like, what a shame. What a shame we can't do anything about it and get rid of him and his voice. Particularly when he's standing up for the vets that fought for these very freedoms. This is how privileged some of these people think they are. That's what the commercial system does. It makes you think that you have some sort of great privilege that supersedes everybody else's right. Pathetic. Makes me sick every time I see one of these heathens.
Well, we're not going to call back again, but
I will. But as a
I will. See, just like I mentioned earlier, They leave it open so they can turn around and call back. They don't settle things. And let these people know that if you do call back, all you're doing is violating a man's rights. Don't do it.
Right now, I'm not going to go and violate his rights or anything like that.
Giggle ticks, but as of right now, I'm not going to go violate his rights or anything like that. Giggle tisk. Damn it. Damn it. It didn't work this time. Damn it. This is fucking sick.
His rights. Okay. All right.
His rights. Okay.
Yes, as an American citizen, he also has rights.
As an American citizen.
Because that's theft. You can't take somebody else's property. It's not yours. You know it's not yours. It's theft. You know it. You just said it's his on camera.
Well,
so that's theft. I'm just saying that's theft. We can't.
Why can't we just take his camera? The law applies to you and not me. Why can't we just take his camera? You see how idiotic that sounds? That's fucking insane.
You don't give anything you can. Trust me. He knows the law better than we do.
He knows the law better than we do. And I love this guy, Firm Audits. What do you think, John?
Well, I just think they're administrative scam artists. You know, it's inducement, intent to deceive. I mean, there's no benefits to the benefactor either, Keith. This system sucks.
Yeah, and that's why I say the only way to get that benefit is by learning getting the knowledge so that we can enforce the law ourselves. The only way we can enforce the law ourselves is through that knowledge. And like that officer said, he knows the law better than we do. Let's listen to that again in whole.
God bless the homeless vets. Are you a vet?
You're Officer Fernandez?
Yes.
That's spelled Fernandez.
N-A-N-D-Z.
Okay, thank you. W.M. Fernandez. Okay. Yeah, my name is Jeff.
Are you a veteran?
I am, yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I come from a family of vets. So he's clearly not homeless, but he is he's out voicing his First Amendment right, and he is on a public sidewalk.
We're not going to call back again. But,
I will.
But as of right now, I'm not going to go and violate his rights or anything like that.
Okay.
His rights. Okay.
All right.
Yes, as an American citizen, he also has rights.
Why don't we take the camera?
Because that's theft. You can't take somebody else's property. It's not yours. You know it's not yours. It's theft. You know it. You just said it's his on camera.
Well,
so that's theft.
I'm
just saying that's theft. You don't give anything you can. Trust me. He knows the law better than we do.
Trust me. He knows the law better than we do. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the stream for tonight. I will be back 9 o'clock with trust law, revocable trust, and what it is. So revocable and irrevocable is what we're going to be going over through. I've got one site up, Iowa State Bar Association, and then 4 Investopedia pages. So we'll go over that tonight at 9 o'clock. And you got anything to say on the way out, John?
Nope. We'll see you then.
All right. I appreciate your support again, John, as always. And everybody else in chat, again, I appreciate your support. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal link down below for anybody who wants to share some love. And get prepared, folks. Things are going to amp up. Like I said, I'm not going to play any games. I'm done. I'm moving from this metaverse into the real world out here, and hopefully going to help continue my own learning and spread the knowing that I've learned already onto these other people. And hopefully they too will learn. Because if they don't, we're all in trouble. Like I said, my life is a sacrifice, and I will not waver. Meantime, remember, I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you. And we'll see you later. Bye now.